What's going on, guys? Coach Bronson here. And in this video, we're going to talk about things you can expect and the process of starting a fitness program and how it affects your body and what you can do to optimize the process of being a beginner and getting as much out of your beginner gains as possible. Let's talk about it. Okay, guys, what's going on? So you decided to do something for fitness. You've been listening to all my videos, you read my book, and you realize how important fitness is to improving your overall quality of life and balancing out and optimizing what you're doing on the nutrition side of things and making everything work even better than you possibly thought it could. So you've gotten started. You're doing things and you're realizing, man, this is hard. How can I make this better? Is there a way to make it easier? How does this even work? And let's talk about something we call beginner gains. So when you're first getting started, there's a lot of things you need to understand and prepare yourself for in the process of making changes to your body. Okay. First thing we want to understand is we're talking about overall health here. And when we talk about health, we're talking about your biology, we're talking about your neurology, and we're talking about your physiology. So there's your central nervous system, there's your actual body, the physical part of your body, your muscles, your blood, things like that, your blood vessels. And then there's also the biology, the chemistry of your body. And that's mostly handled by the nutrition side of things. So if we look at the three aspects, we can take the biology and we can talk about nutrition as helping your biology work better. And then fitness is really primarily focusing. There is an impact on biology. There are things on the chemical side of things that happen when we exercise. Hormones are activated, and there's energy management, and there's things like that. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There is some biology that goes into fitness, but fitness is primarily most of the things that we talk about with fitness have to do with your physiology and your neurology. There's brain work and there's muscle work. We'll make it easy that way. Okay. Your brains and your muscles. That's what we're talking about. And that comes in, you hear me talk about later the mind muscle connection. And that's what we're talking about. So when we're talking about fitness, we're talking about developing brains, zombie stuff, right? We're talking about developing your brain and your central nervous system because components of fitness that have to do with your nervous system are what? Coordination, balance, agility, things that are about controlling what our body can do. How well can we move? Can we put our body in the positions that they need to be in order to move safely and efficiently when we're moving weight or we're moving fast, we're moving with some intensity. Okay. So the central nervous system has to be developed before we can start adding a lot of weight or complexity or intensity to the work that we're doing. So many times, and you may see this as you get started, you just feel like everything's so hard to figure out. I don't know what this movement, it doesn't make sense. How do I make my body do that? That is often the challenge, and that is okay. All right. The beginning process starts in your brain before it starts in your body. All right. I want you to remember that. So if you feel like you're doing a workout and you go to your workout, maybe you feel like you're getting a lot of work in, you're out of breath, you feel tired, but you don't really feel that soreness afterwards. You feel like, man, I did the workout, I'm out of breath, but I could probably do some more. Or the next day, you're like, I don't feel like I did anything yesterday. I know I worked out really hard. It seemed really hard, but I'm not sore. I don't have any aches and pains. I don't have that delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS, that you hear people talk about. No pain, no gain, all that kind of stuff. That's because your body's not actually working that hard. You may feel like you're working that hard, but your brain is doing most of the work. So when you're first getting started, your brain is doing most of the work because it's figuring out how to do the things that you're asking it to do. It's developing the coordination. It's developing that balance. It's developing the ability to control your body, right? Once you get better at that and you can start using your body more without thinking about the movement, then you can really start getting into the physiological part of it where you start working your muscles more and start developing more of the physical aspects of fitness. Okay. So it's like riding a bike. When you first learn how to ride a bike, you got your training wheels, you got your helmet on, and you're kind of going, you're all wobbly and you're doing whatever, and you're going on. Hopefully, your parents had you on a straight sidewalk or a street somewhere that wasn't hilly or going up or going down, and you had it pretty easy. You're trying to figure it all out. As you get more comfortable with that, what happens? As you get the balance, as you get the coordination, as your brain starts working out all the things about how to stay on this bike, you can take the training wheels off, right? Then you start figuring out how to do it with no training wheels. You get good at that. Eventually, you work yourself into the point where you're riding the bike and you're not even thinking about what you're doing on the bike. And then that's where riding a bike becomes fun, because that's where you start jumping off of curbs and making ramps and going down hills and learning how to ride in trails in the woods and do all these cool stuff, because you have the mental control to do the physical things that are challenging. And that's the exact same thing when it comes to fitness. So as a beginner, one of the number one things to remember, is patience. It's going to be here before it's here. Okay. Brain first, muscles second. So that's okay. If it's taking you some time to figure things out, you're right on track. Keep doing it. It's going to become easier to do the movements, and then you can start increasing the weight. Then you can start getting some of that physical stimulus and physical adaptation to the work that you're doing. And you're going to start getting that soreness, because be careful what you ask for, right? I'm getting frustrated. I'm not feeling sore. And then you start feeling sore and you're like, oh crap, this sucks. Okay. But it's good. It's all good stuff. Okay. So just remember there's that process. Okay. When you're getting started, make that process simple. Don't try to push it. Don't try to rush it. Understand that some things you can do is try to keep the movements as simple as possible. Don't increase the intensity. Don't try to go fast. Don't try to go heavy. Figure out the movements first. Movement matters. Movement is more important than intensity when you're first getting started. Okay. Figure out the movement, get your brain up to speed, and then you can increase the intensity. Once you get to a point where you feel comfortable with the movements and you feel like you have the movements down, and you want to start testing out the physical aspects. How fast can I go? How much weight can I do? Can I change the complexity of the movement? Can I do something that's a little bit more, requires more coordination, maybe develop my central nervous system some more, make it more challenging? Can I go for a longer period of time? Or can I do something really fast for a short period of time? Then you can start playing around with all the different types of intensity to improve a broader range of the physical components of fitness. Okay. That's in more complex movements, all the 7 essential movements. That's in the metabolic pathways and all those sorts of things. So that's where we get into a really broad range of things. And remember, there are 20 different components of fitness. When we talk about how you move, the different components of fitness, what do we define as fitness, and how our body utilizes fuel, all of those together, there's 20 different ways. So not only can we look at 20 individual aspects that we can improve to help our fitness and quality of life, but we can combine those into millions of different combinations of how we can get better physically, okay, and improve what our body can do. It's really cool that way. So just remember, when you're first getting started, it starts here before it starts in your muscles, your brain first, then your muscles. As you get better, then the impact of what you do is going to go down. So this is a little thing to remember as well, to expect. As you improve your health, as you improve your fitness, the more experienced you become, the more specific and detailed you have to be. Okay. As a beginner, when you first get started, anything you do is going to affect your brain and get you more in tune with your body and help build that mind-muscle connection. So your mind has better control over your muscles in your body, and it's going to help you get better physically. Okay. Once that stuff starts going, then it's there. It's not going away as long as you keep using it. If you stop using it, you have to rebuild it. Okay. If you keep using it and you stay active, then those connections and that process stays there. Your central nervous system is always primed for physical activity. And then all you have to do is physically improve yourself. So once that happens, then the physical improvement is going to start having diminishing returns. You need to be more specific in what you're doing. As you start lifting heavier weight, you get closer to what we call your genetic potential. So this is not something that anybody really needs to worry about, because no one who's training or trying to exercise or do fitness routines to improve their quality of life is really going to hit their genetic potential. You shouldn't have to really worry about it, but you should know that there is a cap. There is a limit to what the human body can do. And the more you train, the closer you get to that. And then the more specific, the further along that path you go, the longer it's going to take to make smaller steps. When you first get started, everything you do is like leaps and bounds forward. Okay. And it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to see progress. The more experience you get, you got to be more specific and take in smaller increments. You got to be patient. You have to take more time to recover. That's another aspect of it. As you develop from a beginner to be more experienced, you really have to pay attention to your recovery. As a beginner, the recovery starts with giving your mind a break. If you're working out too much, your mind can actually get tired. Your central nervous system can become exhausted. and then you're not able to handle stress. You get distracted easily. You're not able to think, things like that. So there's an overload to the central nervous system you can have when you're training. So it's still important not to overtrain. Now, from a physical perspective, the intensity that you're working with as a beginner is really low. So you could probably work out in some way if you're keeping things simple and you're not overloading your brain. You could probably work out 3, 4, 5, 6 days a week. Most of the time, you're really not taxing your body that much. If you're just learning, practicing movements and learning how to do things, doing a lot of body weight stuff, you could probably do something physically active every single day. Okay. As you get better, as you get more coordinated and develop all that central nervous system stuff, and you're able to increase the intensity, which is also another way of saying increasing the stress on your body, then that stress on your body, that load of stress is going to go up, which means you need to spend more time to recover from that stress. And then the more experience you get, the higher that stress is, the more you need to focus on recovery. So experienced people who have been doing fitness for a while, who are comfortable with the movements and work out on a regular basis at a fairly high level of intensity, need more recovery than somebody who's just getting started. I want you to think about that. If you've been working out for many years, if you've been doing high intensity training, weight training, CrossFit, high intensity interval training, endurance training, whatever, if it's high intensity, taxing on your body, and you've been doing it for a long time, and you're capable of doing a lot of it, you need to rest more than somebody who's just getting started, because your body can only handle so much. And while your body's improving some, the amount of stress that you're able to apply to it is way higher. It's growing faster than your body's ability to handle it. Okay. Your central nervous system is your central nervous system. It's going to get to a point where it can do what it can do, and you can be as agile and coordinated and as balanced as possible. But the amount of stress that you put on your body that it can manage there is it's got a limited amount that it can do. So the more intensity you put on it, the more you need to rest. Something to think about. That's just a quick summary, guys. If you're getting started, understanding what beginner gains are, understanding that when you're getting started, it's your brain first, then it's your muscles. And then as you get more experience, you have to be more deliberate about what you're doing to develop your physiology. And you have to be more deliberate about your recovery so that the adaptations that you're making actually last and you don't hurt yourself by overtraining. Okay. Hope that's some helpful information on your fitness stuff. As you're just getting started, remember, take it easy. Give yourself a break. You're learning how to ride a bike. It's not going to happen overnight.